Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to this week's edition of Pete and Joe on the OBR streaming network. My name is Joe Mazzullo. This is my man, Pete Smith. Welcome back, guys. It has been a long and interesting week. But before we get too far into it, special shout out to the OBR streaming network and OBR.com for hosting us. Guys, we've been railing it all off season, man. You got to get to the OBR.com. You got to become an insider. This is the year, or the time of year, I should say, to do it. So be sure to check out OBR.com, all the insider forums, the daily newswire, all that good stuff. Lane Adkins, Fred Greeth, and Pete Smith. You got to check it out, guys. OBR.com. This is the time. 3 more weeks till draft day, and we're good to go. All right. Having said that, Pete Smith, how was your weekend, sir? How are we feeling on the official kickoff of the Todd Monken era?
Tired. I'm tired. People want to go back in time. I don't have the energy. This is we're getting close to that point where the draft needs to happen tomorrow.
First of all, if you're insinuating that a running back at number 6 is a bad idea, I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I can understand that age-old argument for taking the best player on the board and you want the best football player you can get, yada, yada, yada. Pete, I would like you to educate everybody as to why this would just be an absolutely absurd decision.
Well, I want to take this in a different direction. Let me ask you something. If we are talking best player available, is Diego Pavia a first-round pick?
He is not.
Because his production's undeniable relative to being the best football player available. I mean, another guy I could throw in there is Haynes King at Georgia Tech. Like, he's been a phenomenal football player for 3 years at Georgia Tech. Like, is he a first-round pick? Like, is that where we have to take this best player available argument, or do we inherently understand that there's more to it than that? That best player has a whole lot of connotations that go with it beyond just if we got to line up a game tomorrow, who do we want? Because I'm telling you, right, if we are doing it that way, Diego Pavia is probably going he's certainly not going undrafted, which is probably what's going to happen. He's probably going to end up in Canada.
Yeah.
But because, I mean, he was in the running for the Heisman Trophy. So clearly he must be one of the best players available. So he must be like, what, top 10 pick? Is he projected to go 8th? Like, this is where I find this argument to be hollow because it doesn't work that way. And part of the problem I have with this is who did you think the best player in the draft was last year?
Last year, the best overall player in the draft?
Yeah.
I mean, probably either Travis or Abdul Carter. You know, just
so
in terms of overall players.
So if the Browns had the number 1 pick in the draft, the Browns should have clearly passed on Cam Ward.
Yeah,
because you got to take the best player available. Or this year, should the Raiders pass on Fernando Mendoza because Jeremiah Love is the best player in the draft? Like, what it bothers me that people like, no, this is stupid to think this, and then we'll trot out this argument. Like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. But just from a larger context, you know, the idea of taking a first-round running back or a top 10 pick running back. Who's the last team that took a top 10 pick running back that won the Super Bowl? Because if my understanding is correct, that's the goal.
Yeah,
you got to go. I have no idea. Like, I have no idea. But we can quickly work through this.
Yeah, I mean,
look.
I can't.
When did Kenneth Walker get picked? Not in the first round.
No, he's a second rounder.
Saquon Barkley, yeah, he was the 4th pick in the draft by the Giants. And this is unfortunately another common thread with these players. You know, you tried out like the article I wrote. I steel-manned the notion of Jeremiah Love. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah,
he's
of course.
A great player. And even using the example of Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey's on his second team.
Yep.
Like, he's not on first team. Saquon Barkley, not on his first team. Another guy who's tried out there as a comparison for Jeremiah Love, Marshall Faulk. Was great for the Colts, and then they traded him to the Rams. Like, a lot of Derrick Henry, second team.
Yep. Well, and think about the last 3 guys. I mean, not there was a third one in there that no, but the first 2. You're talking about guys that went to teams as a finishing piece. Like
right.
Saquon was a finishing piece, right? And like Derrick Henry was basically a finishing piece, or was supposed to be a finishing piece.
Right.
Anytime you have the needs that the Browns have, okay, well, okay. For me, Pete, it comes down to this. Okay, what is the one position that everybody knows going into the draft that has the shortest shelf life?
I mean, yeah, I mean that's part of the problem is we talk about these guys and Nick Chubb played 8 great years, like it's great. Derrick Henry is a complete outlier in terms of
Nick Chubb only played like 6 good years.
Not even. Derrick Henry's the crazy outlier.
Yeah, of course.
Crazy outlier in terms of health, and he was a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that I was trying to say though, Pete, and because like the whole shorter shelf life is just part of it, right? Because like the running back position is a position of very like it's fragility, right? An injury can completely derail a career like that. I mean, you name it. Like it's one of those positions, right? So not only do you have a less longevity with this pick, which makes it a non-premium position that teams don't necessarily want to take in the top 10, but you added the 35th pick last year, and then another pick in the 4th round, and then you have Raheem Sanders, right? So you're talking about using the 6th pick on a running back that's like a car. It's a depreciating asset. The second you drive it off the lot, it starts getting worse. And you're going to use the 6th pick, our best offseason asset, for the upgrade of Love over Judkins? Judkins isn't a problem.
No, he was
the running back position in general in Cleveland isn't a problem. You're talking about putting a cherry on top of the one position in the offense that you feel good about.
Right.
What the hell kind of logic is that?
The thing with Quinshon Judkins is that, like, one, I think he's really good.
Yep.
Just there. But 88.8% of his yards were after contact this past year. That's insane. Yep. Like, I could just sort of glancing around at some of the other comparisons. Cook for the Bills, his was like in the 50s or 60s. Like, he was running with wide open lanes and all kinds of space before he ever got touched.
Yeah.
Judkins had to earn everything. I think he was good. Like, I thought he showed more vision than I thought he had. I think he's got more ability in the passing game, which we saw sort of towards the end of the year. And then, obviously got hurt, but like he was a nice little weapon out of the backfield. But like, if you were to look at the Browns drafted Quinshon Judkins to be that guy, and he was. Like, that was the thing. Like, the expectation was Judkins, you have to carry the offense because we don't have enough guys. And he did it.
He did, as long as he physically could.
And then teams figured out, oh, wait a minute, he's the only guy that we have to worry about. So he faced if you break it down by running backs over 100 carries, Derrick Henry led the league, not surprisingly, in defenders in the box. It's like 7.91. Quinshon Judkins was 3rd with 7.76, almost 8 defenders in the box on average. So if you combine these two stats, the yards after contact, 88.8%, and then almost 8 defenders in the box consistently, your issue is not the guy getting the ball. It's everything else. That is twofold. It's the offensive line has to create more running room, and you need more threats between the quarterback position and your receivers to force the defense to be more honest. So, like, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl with running. Like, Isaiah Pacheco runs hard, but didn't he sign for like nothing this offseason after being a workhorse? And there's still people who are like bitter at the Browns about releasing Kareem or letting Kareem Hunt walk, even though Chiefs fans complained about it from the moment he got there. They won the Super Bowl. They won 3 Super Bowls with guys that no one cares about. And they drafted a first-round running back in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They took him over the dude the Colts got, which seemed like the most obvious pick in the world. What seemed like a dynasty maker that they could have just run this thing for years and years and years. They passed.
Could you imagine? It's even the best outthink themselves sometimes, man.
The New England Patriots, Antoine Smith, and they import Corey Dillon, and eventually they drafted Sonny Michel, who never did anything.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't what their dynasty was built on. Like none of these teams cared about running back in terms of being a priority. Now, I will present you the argument for why you would do the thing that you want to do if you're talking about Bijan Robinson. You have a great offensive line in place. You have an offense ready to go, and you're sitting there going, man, we want somebody to take this the extra gear. Basically, what the Atlanta Falcons did when they took Bijan Robinson is they had Jake Matthews, they had Lindstrom, they had the elderly right tackle they drafted. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I just remember he's 24. Yes. They had all these guys in place, and they go, okay, we'll take Bijan Robinson. Now, is that my preferred way to operate? No, not necessarily, but at least they had the pieces in place. You go, I understand why the Atlanta Falcons are doing this, and Bijan Robinson's been great. Now, they still aren't winning games the way they're supposed to. Has Bijan Robinson been to the playoffs yet? No. Like, so if the goal is to win a championship, you should be doing things that championship teams do to get there. And if your goal is I want to get a franchise running back, you build everything else first, then you get it. And if you're smart, you sign that player like the Chiefs just signed Kenneth Walker. They hope that's the final piece of the puzzle, not the first piece. Like, I've heard this argument that, like, well, the Browns are going to be bad this year, so they might as well get a running back and then wait, what? Then figure it out. Like, I cannot tell you how much I hate what the Raiders have done in terms of a team building concept. They had a really bad offensive line. They draft Ashton Genty 6th overall. He's terrible, and it's not his fault. They get no blocking. So the Raiders finished dead last. They're picking first in the draft. So yeah, they get the quarterback. That's fine, great, all that. But because of the mistake because they were not ready to sort of bring in Ashton Genty, and now they've got the pressure of bringing in Fernando Mendoza. What's their first big move? Paying $27 million to a center. Like, you're compounding bad team building with another bad contract. Now, they can probably ultimately absorb that and be fine because of where they are in terms of their roster. But, like, that's still not what good teams do. Is anybody seeing the Chiefs or the Eagles or somebody run out and pay like 50% more market value for a contract? Like, the next highest paid
team tax, Pete.
Yeah, like Creed Humphrey is the second highest paid center. He's averaging like 18 million. So literally 50% more to get Linderbaum there. And now he may be great. Now, I don't think he's going to be $27 million great, but like the idea of drafting a running back does not address any of the problems that the Browns had. And at no point last year did anyone say to themselves, man, if only the Browns had a better running back, they could get this thing going.
Pete, how about this stat? How about the fact that Browns ball carriers were hit in the backfield over 50% of their carries? If you can read that stat and think that a running back would change anything about this team, you're out of your mind.
No, and in fact,
what's up?
Well, I was going to say, in fact, the way that you're doing it, you are setting that dude up to get killed because everybody's just going to launch their defenders at you, and we're going to have what we have now. The judge instance with freak accident, but you could see like the back getting just his knee destroyed in the back.
He was getting destroyed every carry. Right. 8 guys in the box. There was no protection for him. There were no lanes. If he didn't create, the offense went nowhere.
And to the question of Judkins' recovery, he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But even if let's say he wasn't, let's say they had to amputate it.
Mm-hmm.
Would you then say, I want to take another running back 6th overall? Like, this is, come on, it's the position that's going to take the most bruising punishment of anyone on the field. And you're like, well, I just watched Nick Chubb's knee get destroyed. We just used the 36th pick overall on Quinshon Judkins, and they had to cut off his damn leg. Let's use the 6th pick in the draft and do the same. Like, it's madness. Like, it's completely backwards. And again, you're not going to hear me say one negative thing about Jeremiah Love. I think he's great.
No, you can't. He's a good player. He's a damn good player. But okay,
value matters.
Yeah, and if you look at the Browns' offense, okay, let's take the quarterback room, the running back room, the receiver room, the tight end room, and the offensive line room. If you put a 1 through 10 number designation, 1 being low, 10 being high, for where these guys' skills are at, you're looking at 4 and below for every position except for running back. and that is the position that some people want to use the number 6 pick in the draft on. That blows my mind, dude. That blows my mind.
The other part about this, and like, even if we want to say that, you know, you want to break it down to positional value and say, well, you know, running back is a secondary option. I think it's even lower than that, but let's say it's even secondary. Why am I not hearing anybody then say, well, okay, well, I want Francis Mauigoa to play right guard, and just say, I want 2 contracts of Francis Mauigoa at right guard, just being an ass kicker up front. Like, it's that weird thing. And I get, like, don't get me wrong. I completely understand the idea of super fun toys and being like, I want fun football players. Like, I'm with you 100%. Nobody likes my fun football player except, well, Joe, because I just berate him.
You beat me to death with it.
Yeah, but like, I want fun football players. That's why I love Mekhi Lemon. Like, he's incredibly fun for me. Hell, I think Spencer Fano's fun, but like, I understand the appeal of being like, man, watching this offense sucked last year. With you 1,000%. It was miserable. But the idea isn't to then do the stupid, like, make a bad decision and then compound that fact and go, and then come back and go, why isn't this working? Why didn't it fix the thing? Because I didn't even attempt to address. They need to block better. They need more weapons to space the field more appropriately to cause more problems. Coming out of last season, the best thing that they could do was just to make Judkins and certainly Sampson more threatening. It was just create more space. Yep. If we reduce the number of defenders, say Judkins is consistently seeing 6 men in the box instead of almost 8. How much better is he considering what we saw from him this past year? And that's the other part that like bothers me, is that like there are people who are like trashing Quinshon Judkins for no apparent reason, like saying he doesn't hold a candle to Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love's a better prospect. I'm not going to argue with you on that. Like, it's silly. Quinshon Judkins is 1, a freak athlete.
Yep.
2, he's a dual threat. He can make plays as a pass catcher. He's really athletic. He actually had surprisingly to me, because Jeremiah Love only did the 40, so that's the only thing I had to compare it to. Judkins' 10 was faster. That, you know, Jeremiah Love certainly has that the long speed where you're just like blown away.
Well, yeah, but so does Q. We saw him take off multiple times last year on an NFL field, not a college field. He's
also bigger, and part of the thing with Quinshon Judkins that made him like an appealing element, and one of the reasons the Browns really liked him, is because he never got hurt. He didn't. Not only did he never get hurt, he never like looked even like
slow.
Yeah, like you watch him in like there's even in the NFL, like there's never a point where like you're even seeing Quinshon Judkins get up slow, and then all of a sudden, obviously the dislocated ankle is like its own thing, but that's like, again, nature of the beast. But like this part that we're like now trashing this player who did everything you could ask for. Now, the 2-point conversion thing, he's got to own that. Yeah. But nevertheless, like, it's a really good player, and I cannot wait.
But I got one for you, Pete. Don't put him in that position. You know, don't put him in a decision-making position like that as a rookie, as a whatever. Look, this is a dumb tangent to get off on, but like, yeah, it was a bad play, but also, you know,
I get the argument. I am pro empowering guys that are going to be the building blocks of your football team, especially what we were dealing with.
Well, I don't have a problem with them empowering him. My issue is you can't do addition. Don't try multiplication. Okay, like that's my issue. You know, if you can't walk, your ass better not try to run. What are you doing?
That play was so good, dude. It was blind.
It would have worked so well.
Yeah,
I agree.
But yeah, like this, like, and part of the thing was like when they picked Quinshon Judkins, I raised the exact same criticisms. Mm-hmm. And Carson's question here. It was like
it was bad value at 35 last year.
Yeah,
and now people like 6.
Like the argument was like, why aren't we taking an offensive tackle and a wide receiver or defensive end or whatever else, like those premium positions with 33 and 36 last year? And they hit the picks. Like that's what really matters. But ultimately, like you're still sitting there going, man, if they had gotten, you know, let's say Arianti Ursary and Jaden Higgins and those guys hit, like the Browns are in infinitely better spots. Now, so far the early returns of the Browns made out the right decisions, but like still there were people in that moment. I certainly raised that as a criticism to say, yeah, these I said at the time, Carson Wentz is a fantastic football player, but they
You
need a whole lot
question
of things that are
the value, yes.
offensive tackle, offensive guard, wide receiver,
Yep.
all these things that they were not addressing to get a running back. It's like, well, you don't have any linemen, like all these things.
And
So
Pete,
then
haven't we heard complaints all season too about taking 2 running backs last year?
Yeah.
Like we heard it all year. People bitched all year. Why would you take 2 running backs? You could have, and I mean, Dylan Gabriel was another pick that people were angry that we didn't use on a lineman, but Dylan Sampson was the other one. Like, why wouldn't you take a receiver or a lineman there? Why, like, 2 running backs? It's terrible value. And here we are, and people are saying another running back.
Well, here's the other part with Dylan Sampson, and we'll see if history proves me right. It will. Mm-hmm. I thought Dylan Sampson was a steal where they got him. I did not think. I thought he was going to go like when you were projecting sort of like where running backs were going to go, and I was entirely focused on the Browns picking hopefully guys on day 3 because the draft was so good. I was like, just take 2. They did take 2. They just took them earlier than I thought they would, and Quinshon Judkins certainly, but I was like, Dylan Sampson's going to be gone around 3. I don't have to worry about it. And seeing him be the pick, I was thrilled because I really like that kid's game. Yeah, he's not a big guy. He's never going to be a massive monster pass protector, but like, love that kid's speed, like him in space. I think he fights harder than people realize. He just needs some room to run. And then you see it. Thankfully, they played a basically college defense in the Raiders, and suddenly he's got a little bit of space, and boom, 66 yards, and it looks effortless.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, the Dylan Sampson is going to be my pick going into training camp to be the breakout player this year. I feel like people overlook just how long of a process rookies go through from the end of their senior season or last season in college versus the end of their rookie year. I mean, you're basically playing for 2 seasons straight. You don't get a break. You have the season ends in college. You have the toughest training regimen / preparation for the biggest job interview of your life for multiple months. And then you dive right into OTAs and mini camp and training camp. And then bam, you're going to hit that rookie wall, usually in early December, late November, because you've been playing for 2 seasons straight. So here's a kid who's young anyways. He's going to have an off season to get strong. I mean, Quinshon's unfortunately rehabbing. Otherwise,
big upper body off season for Judkins.
What's that?
Big upper body off season.
big upper body. But look, I'm telling you right now, you're absolutely right. All Dylan Sampson needs is space. He needs
some
space.
Room.
He needs a little NFL strength, and then I think he's going to be an absolute stud. He's electric with the ball in his hands.
Just watching with Tennessee, particularly that last year when they were sort of in between quarterbacks, and then they were stuck in between years where they went from really good receivers relative to Tennessee, and they didn't really have much. So they basically handed the ball to Dylan Sampson and said, all right, win against 11 guys, and he did pretty well. And
the SEC Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. So my whole thing with Dylan Sampson was like, one, all this talk about Jeremiah Love in the slot, which I don't hate the idea. I think it makes sense. But like, again, I steel man this with, I even used Alvin with Kamara. They're not out there as much as you think they are. But even if you want to put him out, put Dylan Sampson out there, give him the ball as you did against the Raiders, and instead of 11 guys, he's got to beat 3, and he's off to the races. Like he's already doing that work. Now, again, if the defense has to respect more, if they get more out of the quarterback position, they got to worry about Isaiah Bond, they got to worry about Harold Fannin. Hopefully, they got to worry about either Mekhi Lemon or Cardell Tate and Jerry Jeudy. Like all of a sudden, and they can block a little bit. All of a sudden, maybe the defense has to be back a little bit, and now you can just throw it to Dylan Sampson, and now he's off to the races. Like the easy yards that the Browns have not gotten for seemingly about 4 years.
We saw that exact thing in that final drive of the Tennessee game.
Yes.
Dylan Sampson, and that's the thing. Shedeur was he made a good throw to Fannin, and then he got the bulk of his yards on just taking advantage of a mismatch. You had Dylan Sampson dropping out of the backfield, one-on-one with the linebacker, done. Just a quick dump off, catch and run. And that's what he can provide. He's instant offense. He just needs space. And like we talked about, man, over 50% of the time, I want to say it was like 56% of the time, the Browns running backs got hit in the backfield. You could have Jim Brown and Earl Campbell back there. You're going to average 2 yards a carry with those two rock stars. That's how that position works. Build up the line, strengthen all that. And for Christ's sakes, don't throw your greatest, most valuable asset of the offseason on top of a position that you're good. You're good. They don't even need to draft for depth. They need to add one running back for training camp. That's it.
No, here's the thing. Like, I thought Raheem Sanders was good enough to be drafted last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep getting asked about sort of running backs this year and stuff. Like, so somebody asked me about Katron Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Raheem Sanders, to me, is better than Katron Allen. I think Katron Allen could be a nice day 3 pick. He doesn't really do anything in the passing game, which is why I think his range is a little bit limited. Raheem Sanders is better in that regard. But Katron Allen is just a workhorse back. Raheem Sanders does all that stuff. Like, I think part of it, like, I get it. He's not proven. So it's sort of like this weird murky area. And you get into stuff where, like, well, I want to worry about pass protection, all this stuff. And I totally get all that. Like, as much as
you're not going to find that in the draft anyway.
Right. Well, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, these are the things you had Jerome Ford for that it was nice to be able to be like, I know I can throw him in there and he can do these things. A lot of people didn't like Jerome Ford. I have never understood why, other than maybe the fact he's not Nick Chubb. But for a 5th round pick, he did perfectly fine. I am, if the Browns find a really good running back option, great. But I am, frankly, really interested to see what Judkins, Sampson, and Raheem Sanders can all do with more blocking and more time and whatever Monken's offense, which doesn't even like get into what Monken wants to do. Like, his offense, hopefully, and on some elements, will create yardage unto itself for these guys and further eliminate the need to talk about replacing or upgrading arguably the strongest position on offense. No, not arguably the strongest position on offense. Like,
yes.
Like, there's no other conversation on offense as far as the strongest position. Like, it's literally
the best. Not just the strongest position, Pete. You've got 3 guys going into year 2 of rookie deals. So not only is it the strongest position on offense, it's the most financially sound. It's the ideal running back room for an NFL team. You have 3 rookie contracts, 3 young guys. What the hell are you going to add a rookie on top of that with your best pick? Like, I don't know. I feel like we're being light about it. We need to be meaner. Somebody needs to get yelled at for this idea.
To then say, well, part of the appeal is we can put him in the slot and he can do wide receiver things. Why don't you just take a wide receiver to do wide receiver things? They're going to be better at it. Again, none of this is to take away from Jeremiah Love. He's not a receiver.
No. Like, who's a better receiver, Jeremiah Love or Mekhi Lemon or Cornell Tate?
I don't have to, like, occasionally put in the slot. He can live there. I can put him. Hell, I can occasionally put him in the backfield. He was a former high school running back, as was Casey Concepcion and a bunch of other these guys. Like, if that's the trick, like, get the guy who specializes in the thing you're actually asking him to do. So, like, again, I find the notion of just trying to put these things in a vacuum and go, who is the better football player, disingenuous at best, and leads you to then be able to make these arguments where, like, okay, if we're taking the best football player every time, the Browns are good luck ever getting a quarterback, because that is virtually never the best player on the board. And so, like, how are we going to get better at that position? And, let's play this out. Let's say that the Browns take Jeremiah Love this year, and they're up on the clock again next year. The best football player next year's draft is a running back. Like, do we take another running back? Like, at what point?
You have to. It makes too much sense.
It doesn't make sense. You have to be more intellectually honest than that to then go, who's the better football player? Okay, I have to do this. Like, Jeremiah Love, he can do all these things. Well, can he play left tackle? No. Can he play wide receiver? Not really. Can he play quarterback? No. Well, those are the things I need.
Yep. And look, I'll go to the other side of the ball. We don't need Sonny.
Uh-oh. Did Joe die?
Are we going to take Sonny Styles? That makes more sense than Jeremiah Love. We at least play 3 linebackers regularly. Like that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, But then to say, like, well, Carson Swisher got his head cut off. Now we need to take a linebacker in the top 7 or whatever. That's again, that's argument which makes no sense to me. Is that Joe dead or me?
Decision. It's a dumb argument to even try to workouts, right? Because I mean, not that this generally matters in the long run, but it's it's Monken Era, right? You want as many people there as possible. Do you make anything of it that they told us last week at the owners meetings that Miles isn't going to be there? Like
No.
They reached out and were hoping that he was, and then he told them no, so they just got ahead of it before it became a story. Or like, what's your take on that? Because I don't think it's a big deal, but it's like it's hard not to try to read into stuff with the contract adjustment that they made a couple weeks ago. It seems like anything with Miles is going to be magnified just because of that.
No, and the reason being is I don't view Myles Garrett as a leader. And since I don't view him as a leader, I view him essentially as a mercenary in many ways. He's a guy shows up and does his job to the extreme level. And partly because of the contract, we decide he's a leader by virtue of that. I don't view him as that. And when you take that context out of it, you just go, he shows up, he does his job, and he's great. And then that's the season. Great. And when the Browns are better, if they start winning and he does more leadery things, great, because he seems to be more of a go with the flow type of thing. And when things are good, he wants to be sort of in the middle of it. I'm all for it. But no, I don't view him that. Like, I'm way more interested in what's Grant Delpit think. I'm way more interested in what Carson Schlesinger thinks. Like, Myles Garrett's going to show up and potentially get 20 sacks. And the other part about this is, like, they're not putting it – I granted they are changing defensive coordinators, but they're not putting in a new defense. So he's got nothing to learn. He doesn't have to come in and, like, help out. And guys can – I'm sure players can get in touch with him they want. And given where he is in his career, if the Browns essentially just leaving him alone until it's time to show up for mandatory stuff is going to make him happy, great.
Yeah, like, so be it.
I mean, like, honestly, unless he's going to film The Dirty Dozen and the owner's going to yell at him, like, that's how I view this.
That's a very good movie.
Yeah, I mean, but, like, what I'm not worried about that. Like, I'm worried about the guys that I view in terms of actually being leaders and guys that are going to be important. So, like, as was we mentioned, would it be a big deal? Even though the coaches can't make them watch them do anything, all the quarterbacks are there. No surprise to me at all. That's what's going to happen. But, like, again, is Schlesinger there? Is Grant Delpit there? Are those guys involved? Because those guys to me matter more. Denzel Ward is always a guy who's there. I'm sure he's helping out in some form or fashion. Myles Garrett is what he is, and I don't need him to babysit. Like, and frankly, since he's not a leader, I'd rather he not pretend.
Yeah,
and just be honest with it and be like, this is the deal. Be professional. Show up. I'm going to do my job and be good. Like, I'm just so far past it. I'm telling you, when you look it through that lens, like, operating with him is so much easier because you don't have to worry about this crap. You're like, I know he's going to be great. He's going to be healthy. He's going to be everything I need him to be. Just don't pretend that he's going to be some leader that, he's going to be something he can't be or won't be.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, not for nothing, but the first phase of this deal anyway, it's classroom work and it's strength and conditioning stuff. Like, it's not reinventing the wheel. They get to start it early because new head coach, so they get that little benefit of the extra time. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, anything with Miles is going to be kind of blown up a little bit just because he's a lightning rod for this topic of discussion. Especially the whole world wants us to trade him because he'd be more interesting on a winning team for sure.
Trading Myles Garrett is a huge story. So, like,
oh yeah,
there's a natural want to make that a thing.
Mm-hmm. And it's so funny. We constantly talk about tanking, and the Browns aren't serious about 2026 and all this stuff. They've got their eyes on Arch Manning, and all this other stuff. The Browns aren't tanking, in my opinion, until they trade Miles. Like, as long as Miles is on this roster, they have no shot at the number 1 pick, in my opinion. We had the worst offense in football last year. We still won 5 games. Like,
they could have won more.
Yeah, we should have. We were a stone's throw away from like 8 or 9 wins. It's insane to think about, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
So until something happens with Miles, this team isn't tanking. I don't know how gung-ho they are about winning, but I'm thinking that like anything below 7 or 8 games for this team is going to be like viewed as something of a disappointment. I don't know if it's going to get anybody fired, but they're not going to be super pleased with it, as unrealistic as that is. I mean, they weren't pleased with 5 last year, and if you ask me, by the end of the year, like 5 was a miracle.
Right. I mean, Jimmy Haslam's statement basically saying he expects more wins is curious to say the least, given what they're working with. But we shall see if they, between what they've done the offseason so far, if those things translate, and then if they do well in the draft, hopefully, they can be a whole lot better. Now, there's still some major question marks, namely the quarterback position, and we'll see if what we get out of that. We saw pictures of guys lifting weights. Great. So, I mean, that's something, but we'll see if, the answer to the question, what did you do on your summer vacation? I'm curious to know, 1, if it's asking, 2, what guys say.
Yeah. Well, I want to take this time to go into the quarterback position a little bit, because we had a local beat reporter throw a certain name in the hat for the 6th overall pick, which is kind of awesome and interesting all at the same time. And then I want to talk to you about some veteran quarterback options that could be available via trade. I've got 9 names of younger, talented guys that aren't necessarily in line to succeed where they're currently at. And I would love to throw some of those names by you to see if that's a possibility, because we've been talking for the better part of this show. I'm a Shedeur Sanders fan. I think Shedeur is our starting quarterback this year. The rest of the quarterback room is just all sorts of hot garbage, and on paper, so is Shedeur. So the idea of bringing in another quarterback is something that should absolutely be on the table, right? And I can't stress enough. Everybody, and even Brady Quinn today, talking about Deshaun Watson has to start the season, and Albert Breer constantly talking about Deshaun. It floors me that nobody's just like, did you see him the last time he played? Because even Monken, when he talked about the Dallas game a couple years back, he said, was that good film? Hell no. But that's not necessarily all on Deshaun. That just tells me that Monken is well aware of what he is getting. So,
well, I mean, at the owner's meeting, I was relieved when he put his thumb on the scale. Yes. I genuinely relieved, because Haslam's statement was ill-advised at best. Then, fortunately, once he got his haircut done, Monken enlightened us that, one, that the reps weren't going to be divided evenly, great, and that that it was going to be based on last year. Well, that's great, given the fact that Deshaun Watson didn't play last year, so there's nothing to go off of there. So naturally, that's going to lead you to the other 2. Now, my firm belief is that Shedeur Sanders is going to get every opportunity to win this job. Now, I'm not going to write off Dillon Gabriel the way you are, because you're a monster. I would like to see. Look, I think Dillon Gabriel, inserted into this draft class that we are currently in, has a compelling argument to be QB3. Like, his resume is better than everybody in that mix. And I'm just curious to see if he got better. Last year sucked. I still can't help but wonder if Shedeur got put in first and then Dillon came in second, would he have looked better? And he may have looked bad. And he may just simply not be able to play. There's always that reality. There are guys that come in and just ain't going to happen. But I want to see if that kid can get better, because he is smart. He's got more tools than it would suggest. And again, we'll see if he's figured out some answers. The whole thing last year was he wasn't throwing punches that he needed to throw. Shedeur would, even though they were wild and we're probably not going to hit anything, but he at least threw some punches. Dylan Gabriel wouldn't. Did he make the changes necessary to put himself in the position so when the punch is ready to be thrown, one, he's going to throw it, and two, he's going to be in position to land it? That's going to be the big question. Now, that may be a very short-lived dream. We shall see. But I think Shedeur sort of falling on himself, falling and landing on his face will get every single opportunity because there's no upside with Deshaun at all. Yeah. Like this notion that like, well, if Deshaun does well, they can extend him again. You have the worst mistake, arguably in pro sports history. And then you're like, you now have the benefit of hindsight of saying, yeah, we saw just how bad this was. You're like, but I want more.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. At that point, like, just fold the team. Just at that point, you take whatever the dome has started with, you just knock it down and walk away. Like,
I don't know, Pete. Yeah. The guy hasn't been good for 6 years, but I feel like year 7 is when he's really going to take off. You know, that's when the second part of his career is really going to take off. I agree. I think it's insane, to be honest with you. And if Todd Monken wants to watch Deshaun Watson film, he can only like the closest he can go back is the early part of 2024, which was
still bad.
It was still bad. Pete, that was statistically the worst offense in like NFL history. Like what they did through the first 6 weeks was staggering. And then Jameis Winston came in, threw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and beat the Ravens. So if
that should have been it.
Yes.
To me, it was it. I don't know why we're revisiting this thing, but like that was the dagger.
That was it.
When Jameis came in, was just like, yep, we can go score points, no problem. Like done. It's over. There's no coming back. And the only thing that's happened since then, Deshaun's gotten hurt twice.
Yep, he has. All right, so quarterback position, Ty Simpson. Mary Kay said she would take a shot on him at 6th overall. Pete, why? I mean, tell us what we already know. Why is that so crazy?
Well, to Mary Kay's credit, she subscribes to the idea of you just keep swinging. So she suggested swinging at Geno Smith way back when I don't remember what year, was it 2013?
2013, yeah.
And the Browns were picking 6th overall at that point.
Yep.
She said, take Geno Smith. Mm-hmm. She suggested the Browns last year should take Shedeur Sanders at 2. She said when Malik Willis came out, they should take him at whatever the pick was at that point. I think that was also 2. Was it? So with Malik Willis, either way, was first round.
Well, you remember when she said Shedeur at 2 and then trade up for Tyler Shuck at the top of the 2nd round because you're definitely going to get your starter between those 2.
Yes.
So she's not afraid to take multiple swings within a round.
Yes. So they're like, you listen to people like Check the Mic, who I respect greatly, Steve Palazzolo and Sam Monson. They'll have the same mindset. You just keep swinging because you got to eventually hit the payoff is worth it. Now, I don't subscribe to that theory to a point. Like I made the argument last year, and I was fine with them taking the swings they took with Kenny Pickett and then Dylan and Shedeur. I don't want them to swing this year because I think they're going to swing again next year, or at least not to that extent. Now, here's the thing with the Alabama quarterback. Even if he never got hurt and played great the entire year, there would still be a whole lot of questions for him because he's only played 15 games. Because at that point, it'd be, well, is this who he really is? This is a one-year thing, system, all those other things. But he didn't even get that because he got hurt. And it killed him the second half of the year. It's like you watch, it really stands out when you go back and you watch the receivers to like watch their tape. And then you all of a sudden you see the ball just sail over like Jeremy Bernard's head. Yeah. It was like, that wasn't even close. So, look, there are flashes. But that's his whole career. He does a whole lot of things correctly. His tools are probably understated. But he's also not a guy who wants to throw outside the numbers. Doesn't like doing it. He wants to work the middle of the field. My personal opinion, I think Todd Monken wants somebody who can drive the ball outside the numbers. I think he wants somebody who's confidently throwing all over the field. I know most people are saying, well, he wants a guy with legs. I'm sure he does, ultimately. Mm-hmm. But realistically, we just said, from a throwing standpoint, I think he wants somebody who can make all the throws. Yeah, Jameis Winston certainly fits into that category, and Lamar Jackson can throw the ball wherever he wants. I think that is more in line with what Todd Monken would really like to get at that position. You're not going to get that from him. But the other part about that is, like, if you were to take him, especially if you take him at 6, he's got to play right now.
Yep.
There's no competition. It's over. He's the guy, because you now have to find out real fast.
Yeah.
Because, again, 2027 is a great quarterback class. Hopefully, allegedly, we'll see.
Yeah.
But if this guy doesn't deliver the way you want, you're already back at it again and trying to find out maybe another option. So for me, I don't like guys with limited experience anyway. I think it was always going to be a tough sell for me, but the range of outcomes with him is so wild because there's just so little there.
Yeah.
I do think he would benefit from sitting. Browns don't really have a great situation for that if you're then going to potentially be in the market again next year.
Yeah.
So my personal view is I wouldn't draft a quarterback until at the earliest the 5th round. And my preference is, frankly, to not draft one at all and to pick up one after the draft, because based on what I'm looking at and how not good this quarterback class is, the difference between a quarterback that's going to go around 4 to a different that's going to be undrafted is not going to be very big. And there's no downside in terms of it's a roster spot. As long as you can convince them to show up, you can swing. Yeah. If they're good, great. You can make a move and facilitate a way for them to make the roster. If not, cut them. You can put them on the practice squad. Like, no harm, no foul, but you're not giving up a pick for it. So, and again, that's why I specify 5th round or later, because at that point, you're just trying to find dudes who can make a team. Like, certainly there are things I'd rather do with those picks, but if that's what you have, I get it. Because anything before that, I'm looking at guys who I think can either help the current quarterback or can help the quarterbacks can be next year. So if and you're around 4 and you're sitting there going, well, I could take this quarterback or a center, I'd probably rather have the center unless something crazy has happened that I can't really account for. I'm probably going to want the position player more because they're going to be more useful, and I don't want to keep depleting assets for a position that I'm then going to do. It's the same, different in the fact that they have not hit on the quarterback, but same in the sense of we've spent these assets on running back and we don't have them to spend on these other things if we keep doing that. So I'd rather they spread around the love and get more either offensive line help or another something else on it. Like the 4th round could be where you get your inline tight end, maybe. That. So that's where I sort of delineate to the 5th round. But the example I will use is Strand from Morehead State. Big kid, toolsy, all this stuff. There's some people who really like him because he's just gigantic and can throw the ball real far. Was not invited to the combine. So based on, generally you sort of calibrate that to suggest, well, the NFL, maybe he gets drafted late, but he might not get drafted at all. Seems like a guy that Todd Monken would be thrilled to invite to camp and see if he can't get something out of that. Like, I think it's Paniano or whatever, the kid who went to UConn. He was invited to the combine.
Yeah.
He is a 7th-year senior. He played an entire career at Maine before he went to UConn. And yet he was invited to the combine. And yet, so this Jack Strand guy was not. So this is where I don't know who's drafting the kid from UConn, but that's how bad I think this class is. But again, the difference between that guy and I don't know who you think is going in the 4th round. I just don't think. Yeah, I just don't think there's a big difference. And the Browns have done this in the past. Like, we've seen them do this thing. Ronnie Hickman was a guy that I think a lot of people would have been thrilled if the Browns took in the 4th round.
Yep.
That class relative to the safety position, there was not much difference between guys who went round 4 and guys who did not get drafted. The Browns were fortunate. They got Ronnie Hickman and the McAllister kid, Tanner McAllister. Let them try out. Hickman ultimately won the job. He's still here. Great. I think that could be the play for quarterback. I think that's the most logical play for quarterback, other than what you are ultimately going to lay out in terms of options that they could bring in, which I think is far more realistic.
Well, let's start going over that list. And I mean, there's some notable names on here, some former high draft picks, but like I said, I've got 9 of them, and I'm going to save my favorite for last because I know you're going to love it. But number 1, I've got Tanner McKee from Philadelphia. That's a popular one. He had in limited, I'm going to say he played 2 games last year, and he played pretty well. So, that's the, whenever you don't have a ton of film, but somebody did good in a limited, whatever, people like to run with it and think they're the next greatest thing. Any thoughts on Tanner McKee?
Look, the first thing that stands out, Tanner McKee, he's big. He's a big boy.
He's big.
He can throw the ball all over. The thing with Tanner McKee that makes him an intriguing option is he's in the last year of his contract. So there's an element to this where Philadelphia may look at this and go, well, if we get a decent enough offer, we're going to move him, because if he walks into free agency, we can either re-sign him and see if he wants to stick around, or he can walk and we could get what would probably be super low compensatory value. So we're probably better off moving him now. The wrinkle in this whole thing is, what do they really think about Jalen Hurts? Because if they are fine with Jalen Hurts and go, well, he's the guy and we're not going to mess with it, then it becomes very easy dealing with Tanner McKee. And if you're saying the Browns can give up a 5th-round pick, who cares? Like, see if he can do something and take a shot. Like, it's a Kenny Pickett thing. Because even if he can't, chances are you can flip him again for a 5th-round pick, potentially to the Raiders. So I have no problem with that. He fits in that. I think there are elements to his game where I think he can be a Todd Monken fit. So I get it. It's just the larger question is, are we going to get into some weird situation, which I think is unlikely, but nevertheless makes for an interesting thing to talk about, which all this stuff with Jalen Hurts. Is there a world? I don't think there is. But is there a world where Jalen Hurts is traded and Tanner McKee becomes the starter? Probably not, but that's sort of the one thing that's sort of this weird thing that's hanging out there with him. But Tanner McKee's perfectly reasonable in terms of what you're trying to do.
All right. And if in the crazy event that they decided to roll with Tanner McKee and they put Hurts on the market, is there any interest there?
No, none. Well, look, his Super Bowl season, he was awesome. And I love the kid. Like, the man at this point. I like Jalen Hurts, the human being.
Oh, yeah.
He's really frustrating to watch. Like, again, the Super Bowl year, he's been borderline MVP good. You're like, wow. But it's weird how wide the range of outcomes are for him. And there are times you're just like, what is this? It just looks terrible. I don't know how much the offensive blame. I know there's all this, like, who's to blame, the 17 coordinators he had, or is it him that's been the problem all along?
Yeah.
I don't know, but like the asking price for a guy like that's probably going to be well over a 1st-round pick.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to probably try to get 2 and then potentially get negotiated down. I have no interest in that, none. But I like him. And again, he's got Super Bowl ring. He did great that year, but like everything else is just weird. And it seems like he's like calcifying into like Russell Wilson to a point where you're just like,
yeah, it is though. I mean, for a player that's had the success that he's had, look, he's been to 2 Super Bowls and he's outperformed Pat Mahomes in both. Like that's a really kind of nice feather in your cap of your resume there. But I'm with you. I mean, and like that's like he's a great downfield passer. I don't love his ability as an intermediate passer. I don't think he's anything in the quick passing game that isn't a screen, right? He's good running, but he's also getting older and he's becoming less and less of a runner because he wants to protect his body.
Well, there's like this weird thing where it's like it's unclear as to who's behind that, because like I think he wants to protect his body, but I think the Eagles also do too. Like I think there was this thought process of we can't just run this dude into the ground if we want to be like viable in the playoffs. So like they're holding it back, and then they got to the end of the season. It was like we're trying to ramp this thing up again, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, well, and that's my whole thing with Jalen Hurts, and it's like you kind of see it with Josh Allen to a small degree, at least like earlier in his career, where it's like when they tried to take the running game out of it, he wasn't as effective. Right. It's like in order for him to be at his peak, he has to run, and he has to run aggressively. That's part of his style of play. But then you get that weird stuck between a rock and a hard place where it's like the thing he does best also makes him not his best at the end of the year. So it's like, how do you marry those two things, and how do you get him?
You see the Ravens wrestle with this at times. We're like
on a yearly basis.
Well, they do this thing where like we really don't want to run Lamar, and then the game gets tight, and they're like, screw it, 18, 11 carries for Lamar Jackson. Go, well, we had to win the football game. Like they end up in that pickle a lot. It's one of those things where it gets me very. Mobility is a great tool, and being able to force the opponent to play
tool.
Forcing the opponent to play 11 on 11 is a huge advantage. But there are trade-offs, and you get into this weird conversation of, yeah, this is really good with all these caveats and these weird conversations where like, and we had this. There's this brief moment in time where we had this conversation, and it went away, which is Colin Kaepernick, where you're like, screw it. I'm gonna get this guy and I'm gonna play him as hard as I can for like 6 years and just move on. And then go on to the next one. And like, the thought was, well, these guys are gonna be easy to find. Well, they're not. And like, so you find this tricky situation where, it sounds great. Like, we'll just move on to the next one because there's, the quarterbacks are becoming more mobile and it's easier to create an offense instantly and all this, but it's really difficult and you're still having trouble finding quarterbacks. Like every time that everybody thinks it's going to get easier to find quarterbacks, it's not.
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole thing too. It's easier for a mobile quarterback to come into the league and make an impact right away because they have that dual threat. Like you said, it's 11 on 11. It doesn't give the defense an extra guy to confuse you and all that stuff. So it's like on the one hand, you love it, but it also, I don't know that it takes the emphasis off of some of the finer points of the passing game, but it's like it's a get out of jail free card, And when you have a guy that can hurt you from the pocket, that's almost indefensible. It really is. And as much as I love the idea of a mobile quarterback, man, get me somebody who's going to run the offense, who's going to involve all the weapons that we pay money to. Like, I don't want to see hero ball at quarterback. Like, that's the one thing that when we find our next guy, I hope we go away from. But sometimes that's hard because you get these uber talented guys that are 6'5", 230, cannon arms, and they just kind of drop back and kind of do their thing. Like, I love what Cam Newton was at his peak, but like it's like that's not sustainable,
Well, the part of the problem is what defenses are doing. Like, they've gotten so much better, and if you give them a fixed target, where they can design all their crazy pass rushes that just break rules and do all this other stuff in terms of how offenses have to block them, makes it really easy. Like watching Kirk Cousins fresh off of like when he was clearly still not healthy playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers was like, it was just like unfair. They knew exactly where he was going to be, and it was ridiculous. So they sped him up so much, he was just like guessing. And that's part of the problem is like, in theory, you're like, man, this is great. I can just have him pick apart. It's really difficult to do that because just what defense you're able to do. So like, you want to, that's where you want to try to strike that balance. But like, it's increasingly important to get somebody who can force the honesty of the 11 on 11 conversation that like gets them out of that stuff. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, that era, it's not necessarily gone. It's just trickier to pull off. And even within it, like Manning obviously had his hiccups with like the 3-4 for a while. And some of those elements were like just the pre-snap and the way they can adjust things. And it's tough. So I'm with you. Like, it'd be great. And the other part of the other problem isn't just what defense is doing. It's how difficult it is to get enough good offensive linemen and all that element. Defensive athletes are getting are better and better and better. You're getting guys, one of the conversations that's being had on a basically yearly basis with some prospect is, are they playing wide receiver or defensive end? That's a difficult world to operate in if you are trying to protect the quarterback. So like, it's really tough to get enough guys to protect to be able to be a fully pocket passer.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go. I already know where you're going to go, but number 2 on my list is a Mr. Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts.
I have no interest. No, none. Zero, zilch. And I don't think the Browns do either.
Yeah. I feel like that's hero ball without any of the good with it, right?
Chronic back issue discovered at the combine. Has not been healthy in the NFL at all, including, though he's allegedly healthy, the last issue he had was his eye.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this would seemingly be a thing that will scare some teams off. He has started however many games he's been good in, maybe one of them. Like, he's got the same number of good performances in the NFL Sugar Sanders has.
Yep.
I get the appeal that he's big and strong. There have been work ethic questions, whether those are fair or not. The fact that the owner of the Colts came out and said, I'm not going to name any names, but the head coach doesn't believe in a player.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows they're talking about Anthony Richardson. He literally pulled himself out of a game for being tired. Like, you are in as much as you want to say, well, the quarterback position is the guy in the field and it's a cog and we can plug in there. And if he's really athletic and do all this stuff, you can play. It's supposed to theoretically be the leader of your football team and you're sort of your general and all this other stuff. And if that guy's tapping out, there's no credibility there for guys to play it. And we all get mad when an offensive lineman gets beat once. Those guys, you're not going to give them a break. You don't get to be like, certainly, using the opponent as an example, or, when Aaron Donald was in the league, you're like, well, it's okay, Aaron. It's okay that Aaron Donald is destroying you for 30 straight sets. You can go take a seat on the bench and take a couple plays off. No, you have to get back in there. So the idea that the quarterback gets to take himself out it's difficult to conceive of. And, like, to me, it's antithetical to everything Todd Monken claims to be.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the Indianapolis Colts, right, they're the team in the NFL that knows Anthony Richardson better than anybody else, right? Mm-hmm. And in the last year, no, scratch that. In the last 3 months, they have told Anthony Richardson to seek a trade, and then they invested, what was it? Was it $100 million for the 2 years for Daniel Jones? Yeah, $100 million into Daniel Jones coming off a torn Achilles. And they're telling Anthony Richardson, go find some place that will give us a bag of footballs for you. They don't even want him as a backup. So for you to turn around and be like, yeah, that's the guy I want to bring in to, compete for the starting job. We've got people in the local media that think he's, as soon as they trade for him, he's the starter, day one guy. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't think I know. I haven't heard that. Thankfully, it just caused my head to explode. But
yeah,
he's a ballsy guy who can compete. All the teams he's being linked to are purely as a backup.
Yeah.
To basically give an opportunity to sort of sit, figure it out, and if push comes to shove, maybe there's a situation you have to play. We certainly are not trying to rush you into play. That's why he's being connected to a team like the Green Bay Packers. Like, that's a logical destination for a guy like that, given what they were able to do with Malik Willis. That ain't the Browns. Like, it's just not. And I think it's a terrible idea and just takes a bad quarterback room and makes it even worse.
Yes, agreed. All right, number 3 on my list, I've got Davis Mills from Houston. Now, Houston re-signed, I believe they re-signed Case Keenum, right? So they've got Case Keenum, C.J. Stroud, and Davis.
Yeah, Mills was under contract from Mills had signed a 2-year contract. I think he's under contract for like $7 million. Theoretically, there's a world where they could trade him. I don't know how likely that is, but again, if it's, and I'd be surprised if Houston's really that gung ho to get rid of him. The Case Keenum thing would be more of an injury insurance during camp type thing, or trying to give guys a break, because like Davis Mills proved last year that he needs to step in, like he can keep the thing on the tracks. So I don't know that Houston's necessarily eager to get rid of him.
Case Keenum's in Chicago. I'm dumb. It's Graham Mertz is the third quarterback. So, yeah, Davis probably isn't going to be readily available.
No, I don't think he's going anywhere. But, again, if it's for like a 5th-round pick, David Mills would probably win the job.
Yeah. Well, no, I'd feel pretty comfortable that he would walk in and he'd be ahead of everybody. Yes. I don't necessarily know that would be, in the organization's eyes. But I think he'd be the best quarterback in the room right off rip.
Yes.
How about Joe Milton from Dallas? Because didn't Dallas sign Gardner Minshew, right? Isn't that or no? Who did Dallas sign? Dallas signed Gardner Minshew went to Arizona.
Did they bring back Cooper Rush?
No. Who was it? Sam Howell. It was Sam Howell.
Oh, Sam Howell. Like, that's one of those you said, like, the Browns. Would have been nice to Browns be able to sign him.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think so too, but I don't think Dallas is going to trade him.
I have no interest in Milton. Like,
Yeah.
I again, I understand the appeal, man. The dude can throw the ball forever, and he's athletic and all this other stuff. But if they're signing a real quarterback, it suggests to me that Milton still has not developed into a player where the Dallas feels like
if Dak goes down, we feel good.
Well, and the other part about this, I remember when there was all that hype. Milton's perfect game against the Bills reserves, and like, well, he could get traded for a whole lot and ended up being a 7th-round pick. So like, it wasn't some big thing. Again, I get the appeal. I would take Milton over Anthony Richardson to be sure.
Same.
But I think it's more of a guess and a hope than a guy that's really going to be in the mix.
All right. So I've heard this name a few times, and I don't really have much interest in it. How about Tyson Bagent from Chicago?
That's interesting. He's not bad. Has played well.
Like, yeah.
Let me see something of Tyson Bagent,
because they've got Caleb, and they are the team that has Case Keenum, and Tyson's the third.
They could be the team that sort of sits there and goes, we've got this guy, that we could trade for a decent return because he's under contract for 2 years. He's this year and next. The money's not prohibitive at all.
Yeah.
For anyone. He's got some guaranteed salary, but like the new team, like if the Browns were to get him, they'd have no problem. Yeah. I'd be really curious to know what the price was for, because I suspect the Bears want more than like the 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
Like, would not shock me at all if they're like sitting there going, yeah, give us 70. Or some sort of, Tyson, the Browns send a 3rd or whatever, 3rd and a 5th, and they get back a Bagent and
4th and a 7th.
Some sort of pick swap scenario. Like, I don't know how that would work, but I suspect the Bears would want more than everybody else. But he could be absolutely a guy that would be like an interesting sort of, I didn't see that coming type move. Where you're like, all of a sudden you think about it for a little bit and you go, oh, I get this one. Like, my suspicion is, given what I think the Browns want to do in 2027, Tyson Bagent is probably out of their price range for advancement. It's probably more than they want to spend to get a flyer on a guy. But that's one that's really curious to me, and see if that guy's ultimately somebody gets moved. Like if somebody goes down, he could be a really interesting guy. But the Bears may simply not be really, may not be really in a hurry to move him. They were willing to sign him to a new contract.
Yeah. Well, I could see them liking him as the long-term backup, and then you've got Keenum just for the veteran in the room. I could see that. I could see them keeping all three.
If somebody gets hurt in practice or whatever, and you want a guy to be able to, like, that's also Case Keenum's got to be like 38 at this point or something
like that.
So I don't know how viable that is.
He had a bad arm in his prime, man. How's that holding up now?
It's not good. Bagent's really interesting, like as a guy, an asset that could eventually be something down the road.
Okay. Next on my list, we've already talked about this multiple times, is Mac Jones. Way too cost prohibitive. San Francisco's not going to move him. He's a phenomenal backup for the next year, and then we can revisit it then. This one, number 7, is a little bit interesting just because I'm curious to see how they're ultimately going to handle it. J.J. McCarthy.
I don't see the incentive for the Vikings to trade him for as low an amount as the Browns would want to pay. I just don't think the incentives line up for either side.
Yeah.
For one thing, if the Vikings are seriously trying to trade him, I'd be very worried.
Oh yeah, 200%.
Because it's not
if
as
the price isn't overwhelming, that would scare the bejesus out of me. I'd be like, why?
Because it's not as if they've got a sure thing at quarterback now. They've got a flyer. They hope this is going to work. But this is the thing you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed, we're supposed to be learning this lesson. Don't give up on young quarterbacks too quickly. They may figure it out down the road. And I know a lot of it has been, attempted to be put on Kwesi Adolfo. That was not his choice. That was Kevin O'Connell's guy. So if Kevin O'Connell's sitting there going, I'm done with him, like that, it's Anthony Richardson level scary. Now he doesn't have the same like other warts that scare the crap out of me. And if you're asking me who would I rather have to work with between Richardson and McCarthy, I will take McCarthy.
Yeah.
But no, I think the price doesn't. I don't think these things line up at all.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't want to go, hey, I'm going to give a second round pick to a guy who's played like garbage for 2 years because it's slightly cheaper than they paid for it. Yeah. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, when you're excited that Kyler Murray is a big upgrade on your starter, I don't want your former starter. Like that's
and it's not. I mean, there's a world where I guess they could sign Kyler Murray with a fat extension, and then it makes sense. But I would think you'd want to at least play it out one more year at the very least. McCarthy's contract is nothing for the Vikings, so they have every incentive to like sit there and go, hey, maybe we'll figure it out, even if it's year 4. And if he does, great. Then we've got a quarterback, and then we got a real asset as opposed to we are trying to get rid of this thing and hoping to get decent return on it. It just doesn't make much sense for a quarterback. And the weird part about quarterback is, for whatever reason, a quarterback can sit there and do absolutely nothing and somehow rise in value.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 200%. Because look, as long as it's not bad film, it's good. It's that simple. If you're not putting out bad film, you got nothing to worry about. Your ship is ascending. That's just how it is. Before we go further into the list, how would you say you're Kevin O'Connell? How do you handle that competition? Like, what is your plan for it? Is it just an open competition? You just throw them in, and then as soon as you feel comfortable, you decide? Do you make JJ your starter as kind of a last chance type thing? And you tell Kyler, like, the second he slips up, this is your team, but we need to see this through with JJ. I mean, it seems that it would be tough to get Kyler Murray in your building if he wasn't the starter, but.
Yeah. I mean, you want it to be a real competition, but part of me thinks there is an element to this where you're like, McCarthy's just not there right now. And short of like a revelation, he's not going to be there. So he's more than likely going to end up in the backup. We are going to really focus on the stuff we need him to address, which is mechanically getting footwork and some of his release and everything more consistent. So it improves his overall accuracy. I don't know what he's done in terms of the offseason the past couple months, because seemingly that would have been really when he wanted to start to get to work on that, as opposed to shooting up and being like, hey, let's fix my mechanics. As a result, I would think it would be Kyler Murray's job to sort of lose from that standpoint. But we'll see. Like, if Kyler Murray comes in and immediately like starts stinking out the joint, then I think it's really interesting. But I have to think that like almost like a 75-25, 3-1 type odds that it's Kyler Murray's job. Now, the part of that you have to keep in mind, though, is Kyler Murray gets hurt.
Well, Kyler Murray gets hurt, and it's obviously like we don't know. We haven't been in the locker room, but there's been questions about his teammates or there's been questions about him as a teammate and a leader and a worker and stuff like that. So, who knows? One thing that I could see is Minnesota bringing him in. He's a big name. He's a high profile name, right? He's your starter. You sit JJ down. You say, you got to work on some stuff. We need you to get better. You're still our guy for the future, but we want you to reset for this season and, see where it goes from there. That way, if Kyler falls flat, you can go back to JJ and the locker room's not going to question it, Yep. But if JJ's your starter right off rip and he struggles, then I think you're going to have issues in the locker room, So it might just be an easier path for JJ McCarthy to win over the locker room, I guess for the first time. I was about to say again, but he never did.
Yeah. On the one hand, you're sitting there going, it's a great situation for the Vikings. You've got two guys who could theoretically be the guy, but you have a situation where neither guy could be the guy, and that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's honestly, that's probably the most likely scenario of that, McCarthy's talented and so is Kyler, but Kyler had 7 years in Arizona, and he's got one bad playoff performance to show for it. And then, McCarthy's obviously, got a long way to go. All right. Either way, back to our list. So this one, I know you liked a year ago. And with Sam Darnold's success this year, I mean, I doubt they're in any hurry to move Jalen Milroe, but would you pick up the phone and make a call?
I love Jalen Milroe. I want to know how I just want to know how he's doing. How's it going, Jalen? Yeah, he's a fun project. And it's funny now that they have Todd Monken, you're sitting there going, man, this makes a whole lot more sense. Man, right? Man, it just makes me more bitter about that. I liked him so much.
It was one pick away. It was one pick away. We could have had him in 94.
Man, he like you're just sitting there going, Todd Monken walks in the door and Jalen Milroe and you're like, oh my God. I doubt Seattle has much desire to move him.
Yeah.
But I'm genuinely curious, like, what does that dude look like now? Is he making strides? Is he another year away? I always sort of looked at him as a 2-year guy anyway.
Yeah.
Man.
But with that skill set and with the person applied to that skill set,
that was my big thing with Jalen Milroe. I love the kid.
Yeah.
I just think he's an outstanding human being, and I thought that was going to be a big reason why you bet on him, in addition to the fact he's also freaky athletic and can throw the ball a million miles and all those other things. Throw them over the mountains. Almost Adrian McPherson level skills. I would be very curious to know. Yeah, I would be curious to know what Seattle thinks of him and what price point. I'd check in, but I don't expect much to move. But man, Seattle's in such a good spot.
What is the earliest pick that you could be coaxed into throwing Seattle?
No, because I have to
put you on the spot, Pete.
Because now I'd have to give up a second now, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Well, what if they wanted the 70? Because it's still going to be a 23 pick improvement for them over the course of a year. That ain't bad. Would you give up the third round?
No, but I can't. But that's really interesting. If they were like, "Hey, we'll take the third, we'll take the 70th pick," I can't. But yeah,
because that 70th pick is also kind of punting on next year, right? Are you going to give up the 70 for Jalen Milroe and then be like, "Well, we're staring at Arch Manning at 1"? But
it's a really fun exercise to be like, "Hey, what would it be like if we had Jalen Milroe for a year?" But I can't. It's too much. Even a 4th round pick, I just don't think I can give up unless during the draft they're there at 107th pick and well, there's not much there, and Seattle goes, "Hey, Jalen Milroe for 107." Okay, it's just not realistic. But yeah, that's I'm very jealous of Seattle for that.
All right. Well, the last name on my list is a guy that I think could come in and win the job, to be perfectly honest with you, Pete. I think you know who this is. Do you want to say it?
The guy, I don't know if it's the right guy or not, but the guy I think that could be traded for, I don't know if he'd win the job, is Will Levis.
Yes. Yep. That's my guy.
And again, for the reasons I've mentioned, I think Todd Monken wants a guy who can make all the throws. Will Levis can make all the throws.
Yes, he can.
I don't know if he can read the defense. I don't know if he's going to lateral it to the other team. I don't know any of that stuff. But if you're just sitting there going, a nice looking kid physically in terms of skill set who can throw the hell out of the ball, I get it. And again, if you're saying I can get Will Levis for a late day 3 pick, I totally understand it. Again, far more interesting to me than some of the other guys you've mentioned, like Anthony Richardson. And I think the price point is probably the most realistic of the guys you mentioned. I don't know that he's got any future there. They may be ready to move on. I don't know where he is in terms of contract. I assume he's probably in the last year of his contract, but
it's going into the last year. This was his 3rd year.
That's the one where I sit there and go, Tyson Badgett's the sneaky one where I go, oh, okay. Will Levis is one go, yeah, I totally see why they would make this move.
Yeah. And that's my whole thing with Levis. You go back 3 quarterbacks with Tennessee, Malik Willis, Will Levis, Cam Ward, they have all looked the exact same. They've had, Willis was just a complete project and was, nowhere near the other two, but you had very limited success with Levis and Cam Ward. But it's tough for me to evaluate those guys given the situations that they were in. It didn't look good. what's his name? God, his name's escaping me. Brian, the coach, whose dad was our Callahan. Brian Callahan was an absolute disaster as a head coach.
Sure was.
So I have a really hard time kind of pinning any of the quarterback struggles on them. They were young guys, played too early, thrown in bad situations. Will Levis is a guy that I've always liked. He's a powerful kid. He's so well built. He's got a great arm. Throws a beautiful deep ball. He can throw with touch. I like him. I mean, he's definitely got that split personality where he channels his inner Brandon Whedon sometimes, which is really upsetting. But we see that with Shedeur sometimes. We've seen a lot of good quarterbacks do a lot of dumb stuff with the football, and typically they can grow out of it. I don't know. I'm a Will Levis guy. I like it. That's the one guy that I wouldn't be pissed off about if they got and he won the job over Shedeur. That's like the realistic names. That's the one guy for me.
He has all the pluses of Mason Rudolph without being Mason Rudolph.
So that's a win right there. So one thing I want to talk about is draft day trades, right? You look at like trading down, trading up. So the 6th pick and the 24th pick are the 2 picks that I think we have the potential to trade down from. I mean, every single pick we have the potential to trade down, but the one that makes the most sense are 6 and 24 because you can get the most return from that. And especially 6, like we're kind of in that weird spot at 6 where it's like you feel like you're going to reach on a guy or you're going to get a guy that's worthy of that pick, but it's not a position of need. It's just like one of those weird spots, right? But if you look at 24, 39, 70, and 107, those are also spots we could trade up from. And we can target a guy and move up and go get. So starting with trading down, I want to go over some teams that are potential trade down partners with us. And I've got the list of their picks as well, because that's relevant. Like you don't want to say like, oh, let's trade down with so-and-so. Well, they don't have a 2nd round pick, Like if we trade down with Dallas has 12, they have 20, but then they don't pick again until 92. Mm-hmm. So if you're not going to do that, like kind of both the 12 and the 20 in some sort of package, I don't really see the value for a move down with Dallas. You know what I mean?
Well, unless they want to give up 2027 first round pick, then
Of course. I think that's the ultimate trump card with anybody. If anybody's willing to pony up that 2027 first rounder, we'll move down wherever the hell we have to within reason, right?
That's an interesting caveat to that whole conversation. What do the Cowboys value more? You said from 20 to what, 92?
Yeah, they picked 92. They have 12, 20, 92, and 112. Those are their first 4 picks.
A big old gap.
It's a huge gap.
So are they more worried about giving up, potentially the ability to get 2 players, naturally 2 players before the 3rd round, which is where 92 would sit? Or are they comfortable with the idea of trading one of those, both those picks to make a move? That's interesting. I wonder if that makes it more of a potential match for a 2027 draft pick, 2027 first. If that makes it more interesting. I still think it's going to be a really tough sell, but that's the situation where you could sort of see, yeah, I get it because they want to get the 3 players. Now they theoretically do have the same thought process where they want to move down from one of those picks to get another 2nd round pick. But I don't see that. Everything seems like they want to move up, not down.
Yeah. All right. Well, 2nd team on my list here, and you haven't really heard this team connected to the trade rumors much, okay? But I think that Detroit is an organization that could get aggressive. And I think Detroit is an organization. You got 17, 50, and then they don't really have – I don't think they have a 3rd rounder. So I think Detroit is the one team that I could see throw out a 2027 first rounder with 17 and 50 and be like, yeah, we're going to go get a rock star. Whether that's one of the edges, whether that's Caleb Downs, whoever. I mean, we're throwing out a lot of hypotheticals. Obviously, you need somebody to move up for.
Presumably, it would either be for a tackle or a defensive back.
A tackle, yeah.
I would assume it's one of those two things. Detroit's interesting because there's a world where they don't have a good season and everybody's fired.
Yeah.
Or at least the head coach is. I think the GM's probably safer, though they've got some really difficult decisions to be made with contracts the way they've built their roster. So maybe there's a little extra pressure, and they're inclined to give up a 2027 pick, thinking, well, we're going to be really good. And it's not going to mean much. But yeah, Dan Campbell. There's a lot of pressure on Dan Campbell this year.
Yeah.
Because if Detroit struggles, and you are now on your third or fourth at this point offensive coordinator, everybody, this would be fourth, I believe. Yeah. You hired Anthony Lynn to start with, fired him. You hired Ben Johnson. Then you have Ben Johnson really good. Ben Johnson goes to Chicago. Then you promoted the guy they got last year.
Fired him mid-season.
Fired him after a year. So now they're on 4. So if they struggle again, where does Dan Campbell go at that point? Like, you're not going to be able to throw another offensive coordinator in the way. It's going to land on you. Whether or not, I can't speak to Detroit's ownership, but like.
Do you think they would have the balls to fire Dan Campbell? And the only reason I say that is, I mean, obviously, like on paper and the way the NFL is, you're trending towards that at the very least, a hot seat. But seeing what he's provided Detroit with has been pretty impressive. And I would be surprised if that franchise moved off of him just because of how good he's been and how well liked he is. Mm-hmm. I feel like that would be a very tough sell.
It all comes down to, what does the organization truly believe is responsible for their success? Do they believe it's Dan Campbell, or do they believe it's Ben Johnson? Now, I think both is the answer. Of course. But that may be tough if you are then trying to, let's say it doesn't go well. Are you going to then fire yet another coordinator? And I'm not, like, that might be the right answer, but like, teams generally don't do that. They just at some point they'll be like, well, you can't hire that guy, so we're getting rid of you too.
Well, one thing that I'll say too, because on the one hand, it would be tough to fire Dan Campbell because of how like where he's taken this organization, right? But also, we tend to look at the Detroit Lions the way, the same way that other fans look at the Browns, as like, this is a long-running joke of a franchise. But Dan Campbell's brought them to a point where if you do fire Dan Campbell, you're not like, there's going to be zero like shortage on suitors who want this.
You will be hired
immediately. And that would be like the crown jewel of the coaching class that's available. That's a really good team.
Perhaps,
yeah, absolutely. So it's like I could see it because you're not going to fire Dan Campbell. Then like, oh, well, I guess we're the Lions again. No, like this is a damn good football team. And if you're just looking for a guy to get you over the hump, I can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have enough of a sense of Detroit's new, like, the people in charge of it at this point. I just have a sense of how their media is covering it, and there's a lot of pressure on Campbell. Like, whether that's just them basically saying, look, man, they were supposed to, obviously some of this was like, you went to the NFC Championship, got the doors blown off.
Yeah.
Like, at the time, Dan Campbell's like, it's going to be really tough to get back here. And then you definitely didn't.
It's been really tough to get back.
So if you take another year, and obviously, look, part of the reason Detroit didn't make it back is because they've had a ridiculous run of injuries.
Yeah.
Including last year, where both their stud safeties suffered ruptured Achilles. Like, it's insane the bad luck they've had.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, and the other thing that's not helping, I don't know if this will necessarily reflect on Dan Campbell, but the Tyler Decker thing is not good. Like, it's real ugly. And I don't know if that will have an impact or not, but like, we'll see. All I know is when I see coverage relative to the Lions, I see a lot of Dan Campbell's got to get this right.
Yeah.
Whether or not there's teeth behind that. I mean, obviously we watched media here, certain elements of the media here try to put the screws to Kevin Stefanski every year. Whether or not that's an accurate reflection of the ownership feels is unclear.
Yeah. All right. So number 3 on my list is Kansas City. And we talked about it a couple shows ago. Like, my all-time dream trade down scenario is Kansas City wanting to jump up 3 spots, give us your third rounder, 74 overall, call it a day. I'm totally cool with that. We essentially will get the guy that we want anyway, and then we can get another starter in the third round. And I believe the scenario we threw around was Max Clare and Keelan Rutledge in round 3, but that seems to be slowly disappearing.
Is dying right. Like it's the curse of what I do.
Yeah.
Now Dave Brulert is like, well, he could go in the first round. Like, great, thanks.
I wanted to throw my shoe when I read that today.
I've raised this a couple of times. I do think there is a part of me that thinks that if he's there at 39, that he just may be they're just like, we just love this kid. We think the difference between talent 39 to 70 isn't that big.
Yeah.
We just think he's a perfect fit for what we want to be. Todd Monken's like, I want dudes like that guy.
Yeah.
I want dudes like that guy, and I can see them pull the trigger. So we'll see. Having said that, this is plausible because the Kansas City Chiefs theoretically want to get another edge rusher.
Yeah.
And if following a few people who one either cover the Chiefs or are fans of the Chiefs, they hate every mock draft out there because what keeps happening is they keep getting given like Spencer Fano or Monroe Freeling or whatever, Francis Moino, and they're all furious at this because they want impact pass rusher, or failing that, like Mansour Delane or something. But what they want is an impact pass rusher.
Yeah.
So that's a very natural fit. And there's a couple teams like, look, I've said this for a while. If you had to ask me what's the most likely scenario, I think Reuben Baines could be the guy sitting there on the board at 6. And that the Browns are going to basically dangle this guy out to Dallas, Kansas City, and anyone else and say, what do you want?
Yeah.
And see what happens. Now, I've seen people throw out the idea like Matt Miller floating out it falls out of the top 10. I find that very unlikely. I don't know how the Cincinnati Bengals would be like, no, we'll pass. Like, it's very difficult for me. I get the arm length thing. Trust me. He's weirdly short, and it's weird they didn't remeasure it pro day. Still, I find that very difficult to believe. So that's a dream scenario to me as well, because you don't give up anything. If you go to 9, unless the Saints take Mekhi Lemon, which would be infuriating.
Yes, that would be.
He'll be there.
Yeah.
Or
if
Carnell.
they do, then you've got Carnell Tate. Yeah.
Right.
Or Spencer Fano. Yeah.
Yes, that's perfect in every single way. It's just a question of do the Chiefs feel compelled to make them move? Theoretically, the Chiefs would think they have a lot of work to do because they just let all their corners leave. They've got work to do there. And if they want to get an impact pass rusher, they're going to have to make a move to do it. We'll see. But there's a lot of reason for me to believe this makes sense. The Chiefs are certainly not averse to going up and getting a guy they like. There's a lot of reasons to believe that's a good fit.
All right. How about the Rams at 13? Because the Rams have 13, 61, and 93.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the Rams is I don't know what it's for.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think they're going to take the quarterback. I don't know. Some people think they're going to take Sadiq. Again, and part of this is because the Rams generally don't like eating their vegetables with early picks.
Mm-hmm.
They like to get toys and then figure out the rest, and they've been really good at it.
Yeah.
They're a team that one of the things that is incredibly difficult for me to sort of deal with is people are like, the Browns can't take Mekhi Lemon at 6, and then consistently being like, he's a great fit for the Rams. And I'm just like, why can he be so good for this team that has all these receivers and not be good for my team that has so few? Like, they're like,
it's 7 picks. 7 picks difference.
Yeah. And granted, yes, it's 13 to 6 is a big difference, but it's just like they're so spoiled. And granted, Puka Nacua is in a weird.
He's in a weird spot right now.
Yeah, but they have a lot of toys, so I don't know. But like the challenge for me is what did the Rams do moving up to do? And I think they're probably going to be content to sit at 13 and just let the board fall to them and be like, yeah, you're a really good player, and just be thrilled with that. Now maybe there's somebody they just absolutely love and they're like, we can't resist, and they're going to move up for it. I don't know who that player is.
All right. How about Minnesota? 18, 49, 82, and 97. They got 2 third-rounders to play with as well.
What do we think Minnesota needs?
I would say they could probably use offensive line. They could probably use an edge. They could use some defensive line depth.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
Maybe
they've got tackles. They've got 2 really good tackles. The issue for them is can their guys stay healthy? Maybe. I mean, seemingly it'd be something on defense. The question is, what would the thing be on defense? Are they our team that's like, because every mock draft I see, assuming he's on the board, the second the pick comes up, Dylan Thieneman, done. Move on.
Yeah.
Move on to the next
Yep.
one. Are they a team that could theoretically move up and be like, no, we want Downs? Maybe.
Well,
I could
they've got
see
Theo Jackson slotted at free safety right now, and Josh Metellus at strong.
Yeah.
And
I could see Caleb Downs being a phenomenal fit for that DC, being like, this is the toy I've been dreaming of.
Oh, yeah.
Now, are they really going to be that aggressive? I tend to doubt it. I think, if anything, they probably more likely go the other way, try to get more picks, because they've got to recoup some stuff with the quarterback position. They may want to position themselves potentially for next year and continue to just build up their roster more conservatively in terms of getting more players as opposed to getting necessarily the player.
All righty. And kind of in the same vein as Kansas City, in the event that we had like the player of prominence falls to 6, you get a little mini whatever. How about New Orleans? 8th pick, 42nd pick, 73rd pick. Kind of same deal with Kansas City, but I doubt they would be a team that moves up.
And another one where it's like, well, if New Orleans is doing it, they seemingly would be doing it for an edge rusher. I don't think they're going to do it. I just think their roster's too bad.
Yeah.
They just need a lot of stuff. Offense, defense, everything. I mean, if Tyler Sharp goes out, maybe they're in a good spot there and they want to add more. But I would think for them it's numbers, not necessarily premium picks. Now, it'd be great if they want to move up and get Ruben Bain. I'm all for it, or at least even if it's just getting other teams to believe they might be moving up for Ruben Bain.
Yeah,
I'm here for it. I think the Saints are in a really good spot, annoyingly, to just get a really good player that they could use.
All right, now this one's a little bit interesting, just because I feel like this team is in a weird spot. Like Tampa's in a weird spot, right? But they've got 15, they've got 46, and they've got 77. I doubt Tampa would ever give up a 2027 pick, because you just don't know enough about Baker in the future that you wouldn't want to get out of that possibility. But I could see them making a move just to, give Baker one good run before they ultimately reset if it doesn't work out, whether it's moving up for a weapon or a lineman because they had so many issues last year, something along those lines.
No, they need edge rushers. They're another one where it's like, if they move up, it's because they don't want to get caught in a world where they are potentially thinking about Messidor, although I'm finally seeing people admit reality on that one. He's probably not going as high as some people were projecting. Shocking that a 25-year-old guy with a bunch of injuries who didn't test at all isn't going to go that high. Keldrick Fault is certainly not their taste. They typically want speedier edge rushers. So again, if you are in a situation where you can go up and get Ruben Bain, I don't think it's going to be David Bailey, but if David Bailey's there, that's also, for what it's worth, I think that's the better scenario. Bailey being available fixes the best situation.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Bailey's got a little more versatility. Like, because who was it? I want to say Minnesota, New Orleans, and Tampa all run 3-4s, right? Or like kind of a multi-front where they.
Yeah, I mean, they'll
a little more flexibility and a little more athleticism on the edge.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, that part also works out for that standpoint. The other question with Tampa is receiver.
Yeah.
You let Mike Evans go. Yes, they got Abuka last year, who started off pretty good.
Yeah.
Wasn't as good in the second half. Now, some of that coincided with the fact that Baker Mayfield fell off a cliff.
Yeah. Well, he got hurt.
Yes.
And this is ultimately the problem I have with a quarterback like Baker, and it ultimately to a much lesser degree Dylan Gabriel, because he's nowhere near as physically talented as Baker. But like when they get hurt, their physical ability goes from high level NFL stuff to not that impressive. And it like you said, May falls off a cliff. That's what happened in 2021. And when Baker gets hurt and he loses that edge and that confidence, he's a different player. He's not nearly as effective.
And though I don't think it's a first-round concern, and shouldn't be, Tampa does need linebacker help. Obviously, losing Levante David is enormous. They weren't good there other than him anyway. So that's a concern. I don't know if Tampa makes a ton of sense. Again, if they were to move up, it's to go get, to me, I would think an edge rusher. Not impossible to be a receiver, but I don't know that there's anyone that they're like super compelled to get at this stage. I think they're more content to play the board. Jason Licht has been really good in terms of that part. Todd Bowles probably does not have much job security. Jason Licht is going to be there for quite a while. He's got no reason to like mortgage anything.
Well, first of all, you would assume that perhaps there was a lesson learned, but you never know, maybe not. But Jason Licht is the guy that took Devin White 5th overall. So he clearly values not only athleticism and production at the linebacker spot, but he values it enough to take a top 5. Sonny Styles sitting at number 6 could pique their interest, especially with Levante hanging it up. I mean, that's not a bad prospect. Like the year you lose Levante David to bring in a guy like Sonny Styles, who's, I mean, on paper, obviously he's phenomenal, but off the field, he's a great kid too. Like that's just like, I could see that player attracting that team for sure.
I just have a tough time with the notion of trading up what would be a significant assets
in general, but for a linebacker, I'd agree with that. Okay. Yep. All right. Well, let me ask you this. Now, I mean, obviously the board is going to dictate the movement, right? Is there anything that you're, again, like you absolutely don't want to move down from this pick because you can get a good player here, just take the guy that's available, like 39. Do you have any interest in moving back from 39?
No, I actually think 39, again, I would probably just run in the card if Keelan Rutledge is there, but 39 is in a weird spot.
It is.
Like, I think the difference between the talent that's available at 39 to around 70 is not significant. So I could see a scenario where the Browns are like, can I move back to the mid 50s and get something else? Yeah. Now the issue, the entire question is just, what is the something else? Are they getting, is it 2027 picks? Great. Is it just more 2026 picks? That might be okay. I'd kind of like to get, more picks out of the bottom of the draft. Doing that, if I can do it, like if there's a sweet spot where the Browns can like move back in the second round and pick up, a 4th rounder or move up in the 3rd round by packaging something else so that they're not ending up with just an insane amount of picks.
Yeah.
Not that that's bad, but just the idea of getting
it's hard
more
to find a
quality
for 9 or 10 rookies.
Unless you have some, unless you're like, me getting, if I trade down from, 39 to 60 and I get another pick, which I'm then going to trade for, insert veteran player, like, okay, like there's a world where that sort of makes sense, but like I that becomes the question. Or just the deal involves trading down from, we've seen this obviously. Browns trade down from 39 to 55 and get a player.
Yeah.
As opposed to more draft capital. I'd probably rather get more draft capital in the future, but if there's something that makes sense, like, hey, you traded from back in the 2nd round and you got, a starting caliber center or something. I don't know what that thing would be. Or one of your quarterback flyers. Okay. Like, there's a world where I think that makes sense. But ultimately, I'd probably like to sort of, at the same time I'm moving back, also improve my standing somewhere else by moving late day 3 picks if I can.
So, what you just discussed about the Browns moving back and getting a player instead just brought me back to like nightmares of 2009. And ultimately, Alex Mack was really good. But to go from 5 to eventually 21 and to get David Bowens, Kenyon Coleman, Abram Elam, and Brett Ratliff, along with the 52nd
1/7 round pick at a time, baby.
First of all, do you remember like the week of juice that got because of Brett Ratliff? Well, they clearly think something, otherwise he wouldn't have been thrown in.
Like,
that was
on paper. Like to his credit, on paper, Eric Mangini's thought process made a ton of sense. It's just like all that for a center and a bunch of guys who, to their credit, beat the Saints and the Patriots.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was the next year though. Okay, that was 2010. That was all because of Holmgren's influence.
That was fascinating. They just the thing is, like, you'll every so often you'll see somebody do this, like we'll post a thing they did on the simulator and do exactly what Mangini did, where they're just working back one pick after another to acquire a million assets.
Yeah.
But like, there's a point where like
wasn't it 3 trade downs, right? It was 5 to 17, 17 to 19, and then 19 to 21.
Yeah, it was just for you were like negotiating pocket change after a while. But yeah, I mean, look, I wish they would have gotten more because it was an interesting way to sort of strategize, and you got a lot out of it. But yeah, ultimately, obviously, Eric Mangini did not, for as brilliant as he was, it just did not work.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was. I'm trying to think. I've had some disappointing draft days, Peter, but that first round of 2009 might take the cake. That was.
I remember. You were in a bad place.
I was in a very bad place. I was 2009. I wanted. I was all set for Brian Arakpo. I was ready for it, man. I was ready to roll. And then that year, that was your boy, right? Aaron Curry went just before us, Seattle number 4.
And then promptly decided, this is enough money for me, and I'm done. Flat admitted after later in his career, I was a coach. That was the Mark Sanchez year, was it not? That was the whole reason they traded down?
Yeah. The Jets moved up for Sanchez, and Josh Freeman was the 17th pick. Yeah. We traded out of that, and the Bucks traded up and took him.
It wasn't the Jeff Fain pick. It was David Vacune that was just
First of all, Alex Mack. Jeff Fain, sadly enough, was 2003. That one pissed me off too. But no, it was the second round is when it got disastrous. That's when you got Brian Robisky, Muhammad Massaquoi, and David Vacune, the edge rusher from Hawaii that they thought would be an inside linebacker. I love that.
It turned out he had like a god-awful 3-cone.
Yeah.
Just something like preposterous was like never going to work.
Yeah.
And these like a couple of these guys, like
let him play in space. He'll be better off.
David Vacune was like basically dead on arrival.
Yeah.
But yes, Brian Robisky. Ugh.
Yeah, man, that was a tough one. They've put us through it. They've definitely made us run the gauntlet of emotions when it comes to draft day.
Yeah, this is what happens at the end of it. You come out and go, okay, let's take a running back 6 overall. I'm tired of all this nonsense. Just give me the running back.
Yeah. Well, if you take the wrong position, it doesn't matter if the player fails or not. It kind of takes the suspense out of it, you know.
Just take that running back straight in and get that rush.
Pete, I'll tell you, I had interior offensive linemen that I wanted to go over, and I had some safeties that I wanted to go over, but we can push that until next week. But I'm going to take this last however many minutes. I think Keelan Rutledge at number 39 sounds phenomenal at this point. And I got to tell you, I am super intrigued at the idea of him playing center. I love that.
Nope.
He's an athlete. He's powerful. No? You don't like it?
No.
Why?
He's a guard. Do not mess with this kid. He's a guard. He's an
I'm good with him being a guard, but my God, that seems like a unicorn of a center to be a power player with great feet. Like, oh my God, I love that.
But it's really difficult. And this is the thing, like, somebody's yelling at me today about like, the idea of putting Elton Jenkins at center like that's some crime against humanity. No, it's because center is difficult. Like it's not easy. Like he's better at guard because you get to just freaking go and launch.
Yeah, but play him at right guard as a rookie. But I'm talking like long term as my center.
No. Guard is more difficult to acquire. Dude, guard is more valuable. Guard does more things.
Is there a guard in the NFL making $27 million a year, Peter?
Yes, he's the only guard in the NFL who's over 20 million. There are 5, or the only center. There are 5 guards over 20, and there are 2 in the $19 million range. They just make more money. They just do more. Like, are we talking about? Hey, let's put the people who demonize Spencer Fano go put you want to take a center at 6. Like they're not even putting a guard. They think so little of him. This is what people think.
Every single good tackle that isn't a prototype left tackle, just kick him into guard. Don't give me that guard's hard to find. I got a unicorn of a center. I got a power player that's a great athlete. Hell yeah.
I'm not touching that thing. I want. He is my dream at right guard. He does everything I want a right guard to do. Like watching him on tape, I get so excited about watching him play guard. Because you know what he can do? He can execute the hell out of a trap hole. You know who doesn't do that? Centers.
They could. You never saw Hank Fraley do that? Hank Fraley was amazing at that.
I never saw Honey Buns do that once.
You did in Philadelphia. No. I promise you that.
No, like Caleb Rutledge is a violent man. I want him unencumbered, run the snap, and just ready to hurt people.
I want that psychopath as the focal point of my offensive push every snap. Every snap. But that's I want a center that isn't going to get smacked around against Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I want a guy that's going to take the fight to them. I want a dude that is going to just bare knuckle brawl all game long. And he has the feet to do it, to be exceptional.
All right. So how do you view who's the best center in football right now?
I'd probably lean towards Creed Humphrey, personally. I really like Creed Humphrey. But, I mean, Linderbaum's got to be in the discussion.
Okay, next guy up. You got the 2.
What's that?
You got the 2.
Yeah, I got the top 2. I got the good ones. 3 is, we're probably a year and a half away from Keelan Rutledge being a number 3, if you ask me.
No, but here's my point. The Steelers drafted the guy you just described.
Yeah.
Ass-kicking West Virginia wrestler, Zach Frazier.
Didn't they get him in like the 6th or 7th round?
No, 2nd round, 51.
I don't remember that. I don't remember him going that early.
If I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am, Zach Frazier went to a high school where the school and the coaching staff emphasizes what they call a nut drag, where you don't just pancake the guy, you pancake the guy until your nuts end up across the face mask, and they have stickers for this. And they are nuts that they put on the helmet. I'm fairly sure Zach Frazier went to this school. Zach Frazier is exactly who you're describing in terms of what you want Rutledge to be. And you don't even remember Zach Frazier, and you see him twice a year.
Yeah, because he plays with – I know Zach Frazier.
But my point is –
I didn't think he was drafted that high. I didn't think –
Do you think he's an impact center? Like, I think he's a good player, but, like, it's just not the position. And, again, a lot of this has to do with scheme. What do you want to do scheme-wise? But, like, you can go down the list. Like, Quentin Nelson.
I feel like every year there's legitimate, like high-level starting guards available every year. And it's either they're good guards
I just watched I just watched 7 centers get signed in free agency.
What? Look.
I watched Lincoln for $27 million.
No, because center's hard to find. That's what I'm saying.
No, it's not.
What do you mean? No, it's not. There was just 7 signed in free agency. The Raiders gave Linderbaum $27 million. It's a unique position.
Do you even remember who else got signed in free agency at center?
What, this year?
Yeah.
Elton Jenkins.
Yeah. the dude in Buffalo got re-signed. Like, there's a bunch of these guys that got. Sean Ryan got re-signed. Like,
and you would think if there were just a slew of rookies that you could scoop up easily, maybe they wouldn't get re-signed.
Look, and if the Browns have taught you nothing else, or if the Browns have gotten nothing else right, it's been free agent centers. J.C. Treader, free agent, off the heap. Like, J.C. Treader was reasonably well thought when they signed him.
But J.C. Treader was also a finesse guy. And the Steelers
was a fully formed center. He's a good player. And the reason he became finesse is because playing on one damn leg.
Yeah. That's a fair.
Ethan Posick was signed for a vet minimum after being a second-round pick.
Yeah.
After 6'6", 200 or 6'6", 300 and something odd pounds. Like, guards, like, let's put this way, when have the Browns been at their absolute best? Joe Bitonio, White Teller.
Yeah.
Like, they understand what guard play is doing. And is the pressure? Like, I understand your thought process of, like, you look at, like, the matchups heading game, you're like, Luke Whippler against the guy across from, he's 340. And you're just like, nope. Oh, DJ Reader in his prime against Luke Whippler? Yeah, I love this. No, I get it from that standpoint. But
I'm not saying no Keelan Rutledge at right guard. I'm just saying the fact that he can play center is intriguing as hell to me.
It has value, but if you're asking me what would I like, if you're asking me,
you would rather the guard
than the center. Invest in long term.
Yeah,
I'd rather get a good guard than a good center. Like,
I got you.
They're just so they just make such a big difference because of what you're able to do. Because if you just think of offensive line in terms of, well, they're going to fire off the ball and go forward, then center makes a whole lot of sense. And unless you get a guy like Kelsey or like an Aaron Brewer, who these are not the type of guys you want. These are little boys. They're not going to be able to really anchor against 360 or what, some of these big boys. But they're light enough because they can pull. That's more in the line of like Brailsford from Alabama.
Yeah,
very lightweight.
He's little though. He's like
he's very small.
Yeah.
Now, whereas you get these guys at guard and they dictate your offense, the ability to block, like to scoop pull, the ability to wheel up through the hole, the ability to kick out in the trap, the ability to get out in space and go right to the second level. All these things that like dictate your offense is so hugely valuable. And you brought up somebody to me who I think is interesting, Jaeger Burton.
Yeah.
Because he's really athletic, and there are things he does that I really don't. I think are pretty concerning habits. But he's aggressive getting off the ball, and he is a center. So, like, great, get a center who plays center. Getting a guard who can play center, great. But if you have a center who can play guard and still ends up center, you're probably sitting there going, "I wish he could be like."
He was a guard.
Just my experience, in coach. As a coach, having seen
now it makes sense.
Having seen like your opportunity of I would really love to be able to take this kid's hands off the ball and just let him be a weapon. Like, that is usually the conversation. But you sit there and you go, we got to be able to snap the ball. We got to be able to consistently do this, and we got to be able to like hold up at the point of attack. Obviously, it's different in high school because you're not usually asking centers to do a whole lot. It's usually snap and block back. Nevertheless, there's this element where, like, if you could free this dude up and play him away off the ball where he just gets to go and kill people.
Yeah.
That's where I sit there and go, man, I want Keelan Rutledge out in space, not messing with the ball. And that's where, to me, I'd rather make the longer-term investment at guard, put Elton Jenkins at center because he might be a one-year stopgap. Okay, he's going to be a professional center. I'm not worried about that. But I can find a center. Like, every year, and like, if you look at it from a draft capital standpoint, center only, unless they are a first-round pick, tend to be day 3 guys. Like, if they have that ability to play other positions, like center only has very little viability on a roster.
Okay. Well, and look, that's fair. And I will admit, when you threw in as a coach, it completely shifted my thought process.
That point.
Either way, Peter, as usual, awesome show. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. We appreciate it. We got 2 more shows until draft night, which This is my favorite time of year. Between March Madness and basketball, the NBA getting to the playoffs, baseball kicking off, and now the NFL draft. It's a phenomenal time of year. I can't wait for it. So we got 2 more shows. We're going to do some more prospect stuff next week. Either way, thank you guys for sticking with us. Thank you to the OBR for hosting us. Be sure to check out OBR.com, guys. It's the best Browns website that you're going to get information that you can't get anywhere else. It's absolutely worth it. Pete, it is always a pleasure. And yeah, man, have an awesome week, guys. We'll catch you guys later. And go Browns.